Welcome to another episode of the Read Pile. Today I am taking a look at One Punch Man, volumes 25, 26. I read these earlier in the week, read a ton of other stuff since then, and need to remind myself just before I start shooting what actually happened. So, there is, hopefully, all of this. This is the... it's the cast, but also this functions. These two pages function really well as sort of a recap of what has been going on, and reminds you of who the characters are and all of their names, which I'm very thankful for. And it is super effective. I love this. And then the one at the start of 26, I will show off that as well, because it's actually 3 pages and shows all the head-to-head stuff, and we get a mystery question mark character, and I love it. It's really effective. So this starts with Puri-Puri Prisoner finding Garo, and things don't go well. Prisoner actually says at one point, not right there, but he says he is the lowest rank S-class fighter? Character? Whatever. So Garo actually fights him and kind of kicks his ass. And Garo is really, I think, turning monstrous. But I have more thoughts on that, and I will get to that at a later point. So, we then jump over to Saitama meeting Flashy Flash, and this is hilarious, and it continues here, and I loved every second of these two together, because... initially, Flashy thinks Saitama is a monster, and look at his face there. Right, and then he tries to attack Saitama a second time, and then he gets a serious face, and these two together are pure gold. Absolute joy to read. So, they have some adventures, and we cut back to the surface where the cat, Nyaan, is arriving, and kind of trounces everyone at the surface. And everyone else had paired off. There were a couple of volumes back, there were 4 sort of boss-level monsters that were shown in Heavy Shadows. And everyone else, the other 3 of those, have paired off with their chosen opponents, except for Nyaan, who was in search of an opponent and fought a couple of people, Puri-Puri Prisoner primarily, but also somebody else, I think, trying to remember. So they'd kind of been he-she, I don't actually know if it's stated anywhere, but Nyaan had been looking for an opponent they could play with, very cat-like, and makes it to the surface, and like I said, who is on the surface are the A or lower class heroes, and they get cut through. There is this phenomenal sequence with this guy, and look at this page, and then this page. I mean, the art is gorgeous in this. Right, and then somebody else shows up. We get Drive Knight makes an appearance. So there's a Drive Knight versus Nyaan, and even later than this, Genos shows up. And what also is going on is there is this conversation about the traitor that hasn't been talked about in a while, but there is this idea that there's a traitor within the Hero Association that is feeding information to the Monster Association. And that was a nice reminder. It casts suspicion on somebody in particular. And who knows? Who knows? I am currently suspicious of Drive Knight. But Nyaan is fought. There's a great Drive Knight, Genos stuff going on. And then at the end of this, we get... this is cutting back to Puri-Puri Prisoner versus Garo. They run into Blackluster, who I want to say gets bigger every time he's shown. So, he's just enormous. But now it's going to be Blackluster versus Garo, and that fight is pretty awesome. But that takes place over in 26. And in 26, I will show you these opening pages. So we get Saitama Flashy Flash, we get Genos on his own. Child Emperor is shown at the very end of this, facing off against evil mineral water, which makes me laugh every time I see it. Homeless Emperor versus Zombie Man started a couple of volumes ago, along with Atomic Samurai. And these three have met up with Pucci, who has been fought by both Garo and Saitama. And all of this is happening in addition to Pig God versus Gums, which I want to say started back in 24, I think, on My Mask versus Ugly President Ugly. And then Blackluster versus Garo, and then Tornado versus Question Mark. So she is the lady on the cover here, and her ultimate reveal surprised the hell out of me. And this is pure joy. I loved every second of this. But Child Emperor versus Mineral Water was great. There's a third combatant that enters, and Child Emperor gets skewered in the leg, and things don't look good for him for a while. And we've got this going on, which, in addition to everyone shown in the opening pages, also shows off Gyoro-Gyoro and Monster King Orochi. He is, at this point, reading about, he's going through, this is Genos, by the way, and he's going through the data that was collected by Drive Night. So we get a bit of information about everyone there. So Genos is now fully informed, and what was nice about this too is there's this kind of flashback. There's a kind of origin story for the Hero Association from an angle that hadn't been discussed before, which is the start of S-Class heroes. And basically the Hero Association starts, and there is just ABC ranking, and there's talk of kind of some people were set apart from the others, and they invented the S-Class months later because of these anomalous people, like here it was shown Metal Bat and Blackluster, who could defeat monsters on their own, and so Watchdog Man ranked 301 at that point. Metal Bat, C-Class 233, just because they were doing things differently than the other heroes. Their rank wasn't going up, even though they were immensely powerful. So this is a cut back to Zombie Man, things aren't going well. Child Emperor, things aren't going well. And this was Atomic Samurai, not going well, and Pig God is being consumed by Gums. So none of that stuff is going well for anyone, and also there's a My Mask versus Ugly President, and what is happening to him specifically. So all of this, things had been going well for the heroes until those four kind of boss level monsters, and then the S-Class are struggling at this point, except for Tornado, who is doing just a bang-up job. So she had been fighting Gyoro-Gyoro and realizes that there is somebody else within there, which turns out to be her, and them going at each other. I loved it. Loved the writing, loved the art. Once again, phenomenal. So lots of fights, lots of really great moments in this. Saitama and Flashy Flash. At one point, the monsters they're mining gold, and Saitama is coming up. He sees the gold, steals a bag, and then shoves it in his teeth, but then needs to say something, and in the process drops the bag. And just look at his face as he realizes, oh my god, I love this. It's so good. Now, all of this is going on. The Blackluster versus Garo fight is phenomenal. Everything with Tornado is great. Everything in 26 I loved. Now, I don't think I'm immediately jumping into volume 27, even though that was the plan. I was hoping to get through 31, but this just came out, and I think I'm going to read this next and probably play a bunch of Borderlands. So, I have stuff to do, but I loved this. I'm loving the series in general. Really, just great moments of action and comedy. It works really well. It works, I mean, so much better than, say, something like Dragon Ball, which is very action-oriented, it's drama. It doesn't have this kind of comedy in it, which I think is my favorite stuff. It's a combination of drama and comedy, and this blends it really effectively, really well. I'm just a huge fan. So, until next time, which I hope is sooner than later, but we'll see how quickly I can read some other things. Thank you for watching.